magicians, how are you? Welcome to yet another Money Magic podcast. If you're new here, my name is Vangile and I am your host for the show. I help women of color heal ancestral money traumas so they can fall in love with their bank accounts and increase their income, right? So today I want to talk about 10 lessons learned from 1 year of running a short-term rental. Oh my gosh, do I have a juicy podcast for you if you're interested in doing an Airbnb or doing booking.com. So last year, 2023, I was faced with insane legal stuff. So much. My head was spinning. My finances were feeling it. Can I just tell you that sustaining legal battles, in fact, 4 different legal battles, is a costly exercise. Do not recommend. Pass go. 1-star rating. I am so sorry. I've now started to understand why lawyers have so many lawyer jokes. Why so many people are like, no way. Wow, fam. I really went through it. I felt it in my spirit, especially for wealthy money, right? And so one of the ideas that I had was, what if I create an extra stream of income just for the legal stuff, to help me with the legal stuff? In my head, the extra stream of income had to be passive. It had to be easy. I should have been able to do it in my sleep. So obviously, because I was completely inexperienced, ta-da, short-term rentals came to mind, Airbnb. Firstly, let me tell you, it is not passive. You are going to have to work. Right? I definitely did have to put in work. But I have so many aha lessons and so many incredible insights that I want to share from creating this extra stream of income, even though I am now as I'm recording this podcast, in another about 5 days, I'm shutting down my Airbnb. It will have been a full year of running it, actually just a little longer than a year of running it, but I feel ready to just shut it down, and I'll explain why at the end, why I'm shutting it down and what I want to do. I actually will be continuing short-term rentals, but I'll explain all that at the end as to why I'm shutting it down and why I'm moving on to something else. It's not a bad thing. My short-term rental, I've been a Superhost 3 times. Yeah, within a year, I've had 4 30-day bookings, so 4 1-month-long bookings, long-term bookings. So that's been incredible. I have won an award on booking.com, and I had 90% occupancy. I think it's like 95% occupancy. It's been crazy. It's been amazing. I've done really a lot better than I imagined I would. Profitability wise, I've made a profit every month. It's just been with the amount of time and energy that it took for me to run this. So when I go I've made a profit every month, I'm not excited. One thing for me is that there's certain profit margins that I love, right? I feel like the profit margin, because it was 1 unit, for the amount of time that I put in, it didn't really thrill me, right? But what it did give me was insane insights as to how to really 10x that profit margin still in short-term rentals. So I learned a lot. So without further ado, let us share the lessons so that anyone who is thinking of creating an extra stream of income through short-term rentals can do it. So let me share what I did with a short-term rental. I spoke to a real estate agent and the landlord and told them exactly what I wanted to do, right? I am going to start a short-term rental in Johannesburg, in Sandton, which is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Johannesburg, well, one of the wealthy neighborhoods in Johannesburg. And also really near all the business centers, all of those things. So location was great. So I told the landlord and I told the real estate agent, listen, I'm going to be renting from you. I'll sign a 1-year lease. And at the same time, I will be doing short-term rentals, and they were cool with it, no problems. So the first lesson that I learned was the importance of location. Oh my gosh, right? So the location has really had was a huge part of why I think the Airbnb did well. Obviously, Sandton, it's a great place to be, but this is also, when I talk of location, it's also not just like someone's backyard, right? It was in an apartment building. And for me, what I also mean by location, the location that the apartment is in, the building that the apartment is in, was really awesome. So the apartment building, for one, had 24/7 security, and this became super incredible important for me on my journey with Airbnb and Booking.com, because people would arrive at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I never had to worry about about letting anyone in, because the security guards would always let people in. They would sign people in, and people could check in at any time of day. And when I needed certain things delivered to the apartment, I could use Pick and Pay ASAP. If we ran out of soap, ran out of anything, I would use Take-A-Lot, I would use Pick and Pay ASAP, and they would deliver. And if there was nobody home or the guests went there, they would leave things at the security gate, and everything would be fine, and they would be able, and guests would be able to come in and take things. So there was a time in Joburg when water was shut down for like a whole 48 hours. Well, like 24 hours actually, overnight. And I just ordered like 30 liters of water or something ridiculous like that, like 30 or 40 liters of water for my guests. For my guests, and left it, and they were out. They got it. When they arrived, they got the water from security, and they were just so grateful. They called me the next day and they were like, the water is back, but we really appreciate it. Also, checkout, people could leave the keys with security. If they had any questions, it would cut down so many questions, I realized, because I would say to people, go ask security. But also the big thing is the apartment. In Joburg, you don't get a lot of views of nature. So this particular apartment had park views, and it was, even though it's in a suburb, it was right off the main road, but still gave this feeling of being just absolutely secluded, and gave people so much silence. So people would often mention how quiet the place is, how beautifully located it is. It was central to everything. It would take you just like 5 minutes to drive down to, I'm pointing that way because that's how you get to Sandton Square. Then like just down the road would be the Benmore Center. And if you drive up William Nicol Drive, it would take you straight to Hyde Park. So I was near the malls, I was near restaurants. It was just absolutely incredible. This place, the location is just amazing. The way the building is managed, absolutely incredible, right? The security became like my friends. They're just amazing. There's just one security guard, Babandando, that was just absolutely amazing. He's this elderly gentleman, and he wanted to see the Airbnb thrive, and he wasn't even part of the team, but it felt like he was part of my team, right? So that for me was like just absolutely perfect. So the location was absolutely great. And I'll talk about one thing. So the apartment was amazing. big, right? The one thing that I feel sometimes people talked about was that the furniture, especially the couch, had a tear in it. So sometimes guests weren't very happy about that. So in terms of the inside, so that's lesson 2, right? Lesson 2 is about the decorations. So I hired my sister to be my interior designer, and that was a solid move, right? We had furniture already donated to me by my husband or gifted to me, and the furniture was absolutely beautiful and incredible. But then we decided to go, my sister also made it like pop a lot more. She did spray painting, and she spray painted some of the furniture, repainted some of it, so that it got this feel, because we're right next to the park and we had these beautiful views and sunrise, right? So it gave this feel of like almost like being at an upscale cottage. And we added extra what do I call it? I don't know what to call it, but like not really paintings, but pictures. Yeah, so it was art. Oh, why do words escape me? Art, right? So we had art on the wall. We had great bedding, so made sure that we didn't skimp on the bedding. Made sure we didn't skimp on towels as well. I also offered tea, coffee, milk. Always, I offered salt and pepper and spices and oil as well for people to cook. As a traveler, one of the things I absolutely despise is having to go spend money on things like spices, salt and pepper and oil, because those things are always going to get depleted. Those things are going to cost me extra money, but I can never take them with me, because when I leave, I'm probably going to leave them there. Or even if I do pack them, if I'm on a long trip, it's not worth me having them, right? If I'm on a long trip around a country, it's just not worth it for me to drag them everywhere with me. So, but over the years, I've had to do that. I am a traveler who travels with their own salt and pepper and basic spices. I'm like, this is crazy. This is how I've traveled to so many countries around the world, So I was like, no, I want to give people something that is less of an expense. All right. It's something that will stay in the apartment, but it's just so nice when you have an Uber Eats order and then you just have salt, pepper, and different spices and condiments there. So that was really, really great. And people really cooked and appreciated it. And I think that's why a lot of people also decided to do long-term bookings, because that was on offer. So, and I always made sure I gave all the tea stuff just to be able to have tea and make tea and enjoy it, right? And had full sets. Another thing that I despise is when I go to an Airbnb and they just give you just enough crockery. So we had 8 plates, 8 cups, 8 sauces, mugs, a full set of pots and pans, cutlery, crockery, everything, you name it, right? And I think that made a huge difference, because I just assumed, my intention was that I will get long-term bookings, and with that will come people that want to stay there and cook, and you want to make it as comfortable as possible for them. So another thing was we made sure hangers. A lot of Airbnbs don't always offer hangers. We offered 20 hangers in each bedroom. So it was 2 bedrooms. One bedroom was twin beds, 2 twin beds, one bedroom was a double bed, right? So, and also made sure we offered hand lotion, offered bath lotion, hair shampoo and conditioner, right? shower gel, bath lotion, offered shower gel, not bath lotion, guys, forget that. Offered shower gel, offered conditioner, offered shampoo, and offered lotion, right? And people didn't have to use it. And I made sure that I got the nice stuff, the herbal stuff. So that also made a huge difference. And you want to do these little things because you want to get great reviews from guests, especially if you're on Airbnb and booking.com, because that's how people decide if they're going to book your Airbnb. So that was that was lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. So yeah, I guess lesson number 2 should also be hire a professional decorator and interior designer. I cannot for the life of me design a space. I don't have spatial awareness. I don't understand what colors go with what. I only understand when I see a thing and things are out of like place, that, oh, this doesn't look good. But my sister does that, right? She's been paid to do Airbnbs and to design them and decorate them. And the Airbnbs that she has done have done very well. So I was obviously like, wow, I've seen that. I want to be part of that mission. So hire the professional, get the right interior design. That made a huge difference. The only letdown on my part, like I said, was just the tear on the couch. People spoke a lot about that. Ooh, one more thing before I move on to lesson 3 was have one, on top of the interior design, have one thing that is going to have like a really cool experience. So what we did was we turned the balcony into like a little garden space, right? Into a terrace. We got like fake grass, put it on the balcony, and then like created, like got at the, on one wall, on the, one of the walls on the balcony, we created this, not flower arrangement, but made it like all green. The idea was that like I would make a fake flower arrangement on there so that it can pop on Instagram, but that just never quite materialized. I actually forgot about that until now that I'm talking about it, because running the Airbnb became a thing, right? Because I was like, I really want to make sure that I get this right and I learn my lessons, because I want to be able to scale this and do it at a different level later on. But we got like grass, fake grass, so it gave this feeling of like you have grass on the ground, grass on the wall, and it was really, really nice. People loved that. And then we also got like these really gorgeous white garden chairs and table where someone could sit there and just like have tea, coffee, good time, party, and host visitors. And the dining area also looked onto this balcony space. So you want to have something that's going to be an experience, and people really, really love that. And on top of that, I got a grill, so people in the summer could grill. And people would ask about that. They'd be like, do you have a grill? So I could say, yes, I do. And you can use wood or charcoal with it. It works. So we had like a whole thing that people can then use outside to grill and enjoy themselves, creating that experience, right? Because people actually want to have memorable experiences. So you want to create a setting that enables that and allows for that. So that was lesson 2. So lesson 3 was all about the team, right? So yes, you hire an interior designer, but I also, the best thing that I did was I hired someone who understood Airbnb, right? Well, I didn't hire them. I had someone support me through the entire Airbnb booking.com experience. From the time I listed, I had someone coaching me, right? And they were working with me to basically make this Airbnb be super like, so that I can become a superhost. And I'm just going to say it. The reason why I didn't hire them is because it's my husband. Right? So he's like an Airbnb superhost and he knows all these things. He's like one of those people that just grasps a lot of things and loves like doing research and understanding how you get to superhost and how you grow on certain platforms. So I had to just allow him to teach me. I say allow because sometimes it was just like, I didn't want to at first, perfectionism, like, no, I want to do it myself. But then I just thought, you know what? I've never done anything just by me without getting support, and just doing it perfectly the first time around without support. So literally learn from people that have done it and have succeeded. And this is how within the first 3 months of having this, I became a superhost. Within 3 months, I became a superhost on Airbnb and the business started to grow because I got support, I got help, and then I hired a team. So for the first quarter, I hired an assistant because I was in Vietnam when the Airbnb went live and launched and designed and everything. And I needed an assistant before I even got a cleaner, a regular cleaner that I could rely on. My assistant would then come through to the Airbnb, walk around. He built the relationships with the security guards. He did everything. So in the first 3 months, we worked hand in hand together, made sure that we got people snacks. I got a guidebook, everything. And he was basically me when I was not in South Africa. When I got back to South Africa, I took over the Airbnb again because it became easier to reach me. Time differences, etc., kind of disappeared. But Vietnam and Thailand, it was really like the time differences were not always in my favor, right? Sometimes I would be doing my own thing or about to go to sleep and people are still going to check in. So they had his number, his details, and they could call him. And then I had a cleaner. It took me a while to get like a consistent cleaner. But wow, once I got the cleaner then became the manager, co-managed the Airbnb with me. Wow, I was so blessed with my cleaner, you guys. Like, wow, he is amazing. And I am hoping to keep moving and growing with him as I grow my business, right? It's at least in short-term rentals. He was amazing. He went above and beyond in so many ways. So having a great team was critical. My cleaner didn't just clean. At the end, when I let go of my assistant, because the problem with Airbnb and booking.com, you're paying commission, right? And then on top of that, I was paying my manager 15%. So I was like 15% on revenue, right? So I was like, this is really not sustainable in terms of profitability. It's eating into my profitability. What if I got a cleaner? And on top of that, I had a cleaner. So I had to pay my cleaner, pay my manager, the 15%. And I was like, it's eating into profitability. So let me just work with the cleaner and let me manage. But then my cleaner ended up being someone who is just naturally management material. He started just doing things that I didn't even ask to be done, So he wasn't just cleaning, he was also managing the space. If I had complaints from guests, he would go there and deal with the complaints. And his personality was just so calm. And you honestly need someone like that because some guests are extremely challenging. And my cleaner was just amazing. So now I'm actually going to be working with him and he's going to be sort of like a co-manager for some projects that I do. So he's not just going to be, I'm not looking at him in terms of cleaning for me because I just think he's just he's just natural at managing short-term rentals and he understands them. So I'm forever grateful to him. And I think let me go back to the support around becoming a super host and learning the platforms. It was also learning how the platforms work and how they get to favor you, how the algorithms of Airbnb work, of Booking.com work, really understanding how that algorithm works, understanding why Booking.com will or Airbnb will favor one listing over another. Understanding that made a huge difference to me in my business, right? Understanding the importance of photographs, all that made a huge difference for me. And then the next one is, so I think we're now on lesson 4, right? Customer service, right? I mean, that's a given. So a huge part of how these platforms work, your Booking.com or Airbnb, once I realized that, I mean, I kind of knew in my head, it's common sense, that I always choose a listing because of the reviews, right? So you want to get your people to review you. So what I did was I literally would contact people after staying at my place and ask them to give me a review. I mean, I'd hope it was a 5-star, but if it wasn't, it's still a review and I could have a conversation with them, right? But luckily for me, lots of reviews were 5 stars, and on Booking.com, most of them were 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, or 10 out of 10, right? So I got very, I don't want to say lucky, but it was really awesome. I didn't have to worry so much about that. I just knew that I would get decent reviews, and I needed to ask for the reviews. So I asked for reviews, and the reviews that you get depend on your quality of customer service, right? So these people are your guests. After all, they want to come stay at your place. They want to feel happy. They want to feel like it's home away from home. They want to feel like they don't have to worry about anything. So my focus was on making sure that they have a great experience and a great stay. And then once I got those guest reviews, and this leads to lesson number 5, effective marketing strategies. Once I got those guest reviews, what I did, and this helped tremendously, I shared with my mailing list every single review. At least when I started, I think I shared the first 10 reviews. After 10 reviews, I kind of lost track, right? But I shared all the various reviews that I got on my mailing list. I shared it all over social media. I shared it on my Instagram stories. I would do mini videos to share on TikTok. Then people would ask, where's this? Can I come stay? And that for me was huge. So my marketing strategy was simply to share the guest reviews, but my marketing strategy, one of the things that works on Airbnb and Booking.com is how many people click on your link. So it was sharing my link as often as possible. But for me, to be honest, Booking.com also started running adverts with my particular short-term rental. That was so crazy for me to see, right? So I didn't have to spend at all on advertising, because as your short-term rental does well, the platform, especially on Booking.com, they realize that, wait, people love this listing. And then what they do is they now start to advertise, right? And I mean, if you think of Booking.com's advertising and ad spend compared to my ad spend, there's no comparison, right? So I didn't know that would happen, and I was super grateful, and I was very excited about that. Airbnb didn't do that, but I did a lot of sharing the link, sharing the listing with various people, getting reviews, sharing those reviews, running a Facebook ad for the first 2 or 3 months just to my Airbnb listing to increase the clicks. So I wasn't so much worried about will people book, because my strategy was, as long as the algorithm, the Airbnb algorithm works in my favor, the more people who click on my link, the more people see it, and of course, the better the reviews, then I will keep coming up to the top, and eventually people will book for me on Airbnb and I'll get that will book my listing on Airbnb and I'll get that traction. And that's literally what happened. All my long-term stays came from Airbnb, and that was awesome. Getting 4 long-term stays meant that I didn't have to worry about anything. I made a really good profit in those months, and and people were just loving the apartment, right? So that was my strategy. Everyone's strategy is different, but mine was, I'm just going to work this algorithm and I'm going to figure out what makes it work, what makes it pop. And that's what I'm going to do. And I won't lie though, and then my other strategy was quite simple, not a marketing strategy. I just did a lot of inner work, especially when I was starting. I was so scared. So what I did a lot of is, I think I did a lot of God wound work. That shifted so much for me because I was like, there's no way this is going to succeed. It's not going to work. So I did a lot of inner work in the Money Magic course around lesson 17, the God wound. And then I did a lot of work on the not good enough meditation, lesson 19, and the vow of invisibility, right? The vow of visibility. And the vow of visibility really, just like doing that work, helped me because then I was able to just come out and be less constricted in fear about how this wasn't going to work and just like move through all my fears rapidly. I moved through all my marketing fears, how this wasn't going to work, how I wasn't going to be seen, how nobody was going to know about this short-term rental so quickly. And then it enabled me to take action on all the other marketing stuff, right? So that's literally what I did. But I'm not, and I don't want to lie actually, because the first 2 months of this Airbnb being listed, my strategy was inner work. It wasn't so much working the algorithm as much. I just did what I did. I shared with you guys, which literally would take me 10 minutes of my day, but the bulk of the work was the inner work. And then when I just felt more confident, stronger, then I started going more seriously in the marketing and even doing the Facebook advertising, right? And so that was lesson 5. Lesson 6 is handling guest issues, right? So not just your customer service, but oh my gosh, guys, I had guest complaints. Whoa, I've had so many guest complaints and people, and the thing is that you won't see that. If you look at my reviews are so great, but knowing how to handle guest complaints in your short-term rentals is so key. So I've had complaints. There was a time when the internet went out and people couldn't tap into couldn't use the Wi-Fi. I don't have control of that, right? I've had water cuts, not my thing, right? The city of Johannesburg did that. Then there's the fact that like we used to have load shedding. Remember those days? We've all forgotten the days of load shedding, right? But load shedding was a thing for a long time. So those complaints, people feeling upset that I didn't talk about load shedding, then I had to get backup power. I had to get not a generator. Okay, but it's not a generator. It's a converter. Yes, I got a converter, and that helped as well. So I had to learn a lot on the go, right? I was like, I don't want to get a converter. I don't want to do all these things. I mean, come on, it's load shedding in South Africa, but you have to basically comply to guest demands and guest wants. So that was a huge thing, handling guest complaints. I mean, guests would call me in the middle of the night for various things. And then I'd have to ask my cleaner to please go rush, go talk to them, have a conversation with them, calm them down the next day. People would contact about, oh, I can't close the door. And I'm like, but how's that possible? You just opened the door. Why can't you close it now? So then we'd have to have that conversation. Oh my gosh, it was so interesting. So just being aware of all those things, right? How you it's not, the problem isn't getting guest complaints. That's one of the things that I realized. And it was my cleaner that helped me realize this. And I should probably just name him. His name is Dube, because I don't feel comfortable saying my cleaner. But like, it was Dube that helped me realize that. And Dube said to me, actually, I don't worry about guest complaints, because guest complaints are normal. You can't please everyone. It's how we handle those complaints that is going to set us apart, and that's going to determine how people feel about the place, whether or not we have repeat guests, and the reviews that we get. So a lot of that was how we handle the guest complaints. So if you're starting out on this and your guests are complaining, don't worry, that's par for the course. People complain about so many different things. It's so wild, right? I had some guests complain because there was the summit last year, and there were a lot of cars on the road, and the summit was being held, I think it was the BRICS Summit, and it was being held in Sandton, and there was traffic, and they were complaining that the BRICS Summit is being held in Sandton. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that would be a problem. Had I known, I would have told you guys, right? But I've also learned. So different strokes for different folks. So people complain about many different things. Some people don't ever have any complaints, don't have anything wrong, don't see anything wrong, only have great things to say. So it just depends on the people. And again, give people that space, allow them to complain, allow them to air their grievances. That's actually the best thing that I learned from Due, because you don't want them walking away and still feeling some type of way about you. Then let's go on to, I think, lesson 7. The 7th lesson that I've learned. Oh my gosh, the importance of cleanliness, right? So a lot of my complaints would sometimes be about how clean a place is, right? The cleanliness situation. I've had guests lift up couches. I've had people lift up cushions of couches. I've had guests check under the bed, lift up the bed, take videos of things under the bed. So it's almost like we've had to have spring cleaning often. You know, I've had people complain about, wait, under the bed, it's dirty. People move couches, and you're like, but who does that? Right? When I arrive, I don't do that, but people will. And again, different strokes for different people. People will literally lift up a carpet and look under the carpet. I've had people do that. I've had people move my carpets and like lift them up, roll them up, demand that the carpets come and get cleaned. So it's been very interesting. So make sure that your house is spotless and clean, right? Make sure that everything is always crystal clean, washed. Cleanliness is a thing that will make or break your Airbnb. Like, honestly, having the right person to work with you on that is so critical. So that is something that I learned. So what we then started doing was we were like, we will move couches, right? Under the couch, under the bed. We will shift everything under the bed. We'll get the mattress cleaned. We had to do so much. I bought new pillows, all sorts of things, because you start to realize that everybody is different and this impacts people. And our level of cleanliness is completely different. So It's something that I'm really, really now cognizant of. So spring cleaning almost to the level of like really insane. So just keep a high standard of cleanliness, right? And then lesson 8, and this is so critical. If you're going to do rental arbitrage, like I did, right, where you rent long-term from a landlord and then you do short-term rentals, what you want to do is you want to be honest with the landlord and you want to be honest with the real estate agent about what you're going to do. Always lead with honesty. Tell them this is what you're going to do. You're going to be running short-term rentals. This became super important for me because sometime in December, imagine November actually, my entire November, December, January was fully booked, as in like guests would leave today and I'd have someone else coming in today to stay. And that was my entire November, December, January, right? And the insane thing that happened was that in November, as this is happening, the body corporate, some of the people that stay in the apartment started to complain to the body corporate. So if you're watching this from abroad, it's like a homeowners association, right? So then they started to complain to the landlord and they wanted me to shut down the Airbnb. They'd actually gone online, found out the link to the Airbnb, found out the link to mybooking.com, and were insisting that they don't want me to advertise, they don't want me to do short-term rentals. And because I had talked to the landlord, the landlord was able to talk to the body corporate and fight on my behalf, and I was able to continue doing the business. But then here's a crazy thing. Then when I told the landlord that it's really challenging for me to budget for electricity because they don't allow prepaid meters into the apartment, he tried to go to the body corporate and they absolutely refused and said that their apartment block doesn't for their apartments, they do not allow prepaid electricity meters. So I'd always have to get my electricity billed to me. And even then, it was the real estate agents that would tell me how much I owed on my electricity. And that just drove me nuts. And it made it very, very challenging for me to budget because my electricity bill for a two-bedroom apartment always ran to 2,500, between 2,500 a month to 4,000 Rand a month. And I've never been able to understand it. I've asked them to please send me the invoices and everything, and the real estate agent would send once. They've sent maybe 3 times out of the times that I've asked, and I just decided, you know what, it's just not worth it. It's one of the reasons why I'm no longer keeping the short-term rental, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. So for people listening in, just divide that. If we're working with US dollars, that's about $150 to $300 a month in electricity for the electricity at the apartment. And I was like, this is crazy. I have to be able to budget for this. I'm running a business. I have to be able to see what it is that I'm doing, and I can't do it the way that they without having a prepaid meter. And also, I feel like prepaid meters are a lot less expensive, but in terms of electricity. But anyway, yeah. So I found that just having honest conversations with the landlord and having honest conversations with the real estate agent made my life infinitely easier. And then lesson 9 is just on financial management, which comes back to the electricity, right? Just being able to manage your finances. So know that your cleaner. So I chose not to have a cleaning fee on Airbnb. I decided to absorb the cleaning fee, right? Part of it is I felt like it would make my listing more attractive, at least in the first year. If people don't have to pay an extra fee for cleaning, it would make it easier for them to make the decision to book with me, right? Would I do it any differently now? Probably yes. So because the short-term rental has gained the traction that I wanted it to, all that. And also cleaning fees are not exactly cheap, right? So note that like you're gonna have to pay for Wi-Fi, you're paying for utilities. If you have tenants in a long-term rental, you are not worried about utilities because they cover that, right? So the water, the electricity, they cover that. But with short-term rentals, which I was doing, right, with the landlord, I was covering all that. But with short-term rentals, and I was also covering the sewage, but like with short-term rentals, I am covering the electricity, right? And you're also paying for the Wi-Fi. Again, with the long-term rentals, your tenants pay for the Wi-Fi. So you're paying for Wi-Fi, you're paying for utilities. There's also little things that your Airbnb needs because it's your short-term rental needs because there's constant turnover of people and guests. So, for example, you're going to you need to pay for tea, coffee, sugar, washing powder to be able to wash bedding, and dishwashing liquid. You're paying for dishwashing tablets, repairs and maintenance. I had to pay for the dishwasher to come get fixed. At one point, a door handle broke. I had to pay for the door handle to get fixed. I paid for a carpenter to fix the drawers. So there's like all these little things, right? And you're constantly paying. So you need to be good at budgeting for that. And of course, every single time someone comes in and out of your apartment, you need cleaning, and your cleaner needs to be paid on the same day. So, and I found this sometimes very exasperating with booking.com, right? Airbnb is great because they will pay you within like the very next day. If your guest checks in today, tomorrow Airbnb releases your money and pays you. Booking.com has a policy where they pay, for South Africa anyway, they pay on Thursdays. So the money will come, you have to wait for the next Thursday. So let's say that you have a guest now and they only pay when the guest checks out. They do not pay when the guest checks in, unlike Airbnb. So and this is why I refused long-term stays on booking.com, because I'm like, what the hell? You have to wait at least a month to get your money. Whereas with Airbnb, someone checks in today for 30 days, the very next day you're getting your money, and then your cleaner can go clean, because with long-term stays, I would offer weekly cleaning. So then I could pay my cleaner on a weekly basis. But also with booking.com, if let's say you have 3 or 4 bookings in that week, and I had a minimum of 2 nights, so it would usually be like maybe 3 bookings or something, unless let's say someone checked in on a Monday, checked out on a Friday, then I'm not getting the money that week. I'll have to wait the next week to get the money, the next Thursday, because the guest checked out on a Friday. But in the meantime, there's more guests checking in on Friday or Saturday or Monday or Tuesday, and I still have to buy coffee and tea and body lotion and shampoo and conditioner and bubble bath and all these things for my guests, right? And all that requires money, but the money is tied up with booking.com and I can't use it. So I had to learn how to budget. Luckily I do the work, so things were able to keep moving. And of course, on top of that, you have to have money. Like I said, it was very, very challenging to learn to budget for the electricity, because I had no clue what my electricity bill would be that month. Be like, what the hell? Some months I'd get an electricity bill for like 4,000, 4,500. I was like, this does not make any sense. And I would argue with the real estate agent until I just decided, you know what, let me just continue, run the Airbnb and see what I can do, because the real estate agents, I was also not sure how they were getting those numbers. So it was really, really crazy. So the lesson 10, right? Let's see. The 10th lesson, I'm just looking up there, was just, again, setting the right price. That was my last lesson. Pricing is such an interesting thing when it comes to short-term rentals. So one of the things that I would do is, if it was slow, I would lower the prices, right? If I felt like bookings were taking a while, I would lower the prices. The other thing to note with booking.com is that booking.com just gives discount. There's people on the Genius program, and if they make bookings, booking.com automatically gives them 10 to 15% discount without consulting you as the person who's listed the listing. So Airbnb doesn't do that, which I'm so grateful for. Your price is your price. So I had to learn how to set pricing, and when demand is high, you increase the pricing. So you need to understand the seasons, right? Like, it's also a season business, because short-term rentals are also dependent on the traveling market. So in South Africa, spring and summer are our best months, right? When from like September, October onwards up until April, those are really, really good for short-term rentals. So what I did was I increased the prices then, and then when we started moving into May, I decreased the prices a little. So I had to be willing to take a bit of a revenue dip. And one of the things that I am since learning is that if that's the case, then you really want to you don't want to spend all your money that you make from the good months, the summer months, the tourism months. You want to keep some of that money aside, so that when the winter months come, like winter is coming, like a Stark in Game of Thrones, right? When the winter months come, you want to actually use some of that money to be able to tide you through until the summer months. So yeah, let me know, guys, if this has been helpful, if the 10 lessons on running a short-term rental in my first year doing short-term rentals has been super, super helpful for you. And so why am I letting my short-term rental go? I've already shared. The electricity thing really throws me for a loop. It really, really upsets me. The other thing, the big reason though, for me was time. The amount of time that it took me to run this Airbnb. And maybe this short-term rental rather, because it's on Airbnb and booking.com. Maybe I'm being a little too fast in letting it go. But I felt like the amount of time for the profit for me was not worth it. And it was taking away my time from wealthy money. So I've engaged in a lot of activities, unfortunately, in terms of extra streams of income that have taken me away from wealthy money over the last few years and the core of my work in wealthy money. And for me, wealthy money is the core business that makes my income and where I've been able to expand. And I find that I'm missing that. I'm missing one-on-one coaching. I'm missing working with people. I want to go back to doing retreats. I just don't have that much time on my hands to be able to be running an Airbnb, just one, right? So what I want is, if I'm going to put in, because I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do it at scale. I've learned the lessons that I've learned. What if I just take what I've done and 10x it? So that's my next project. Is like, I want to still do short-term rentals, but the way I want to do short-term rentals is at scale, in a way that the amount of time I put in to run one unit, they are all in one place, and it can be run with a team at scale and I can 10x my profit, right? And my profit margin. So for me, that's the only way that it's going to make a lot of sense to be able to do that. Because I'm not willing to do this for just one short-term rental. If I'm going to do this, I want a business that will make at least $100,000 or more in revenue in a year, right? And I can't do that with just one apartment. So I need to sit down, figure out how to make that happen and work on it. And that's what I've been working on. Because now I've learned the basics of the business. There are certain things that I also want to be able to do, that I understand that if I could do this at scale and at a larger level, I would be able to make good money with it, but I would be able to build a team and put in systems that work. I would also list on so many other platforms. I could get more technology involved, all those things, more apps, all that, which I felt like at this point, some of the apps and tech is paid, and I felt like I'm not willing to pay for it because it's just like one apartment and I'm already dealing with just like trying to learn and manage it and all that. So for me, I realized that, okay, in terms of time, the profit margin and the profitability, it's just not worth it because I'm putting in so much time into this. But if I could do it at scale, I could build a team, have someone work with me as a manager, as an assistant. I could have my cleaners and we could just run this like a well-oiled machine. And that really, really excites me a lot more. And also I want the Airbnbs to be, I want my short-term rentals to be in the Western Cape. I feel like the Western Cape has more to offer in terms of short-term rentals, in terms of profit margins than Johannesburg, especially in the summer months, And I really, really like that idea. So, and Johannesburg is so far, and when there's guest complaints, I can't just go there if there's really, really hectic complaints. So they've been people who have had complaints where I feel like I wish that I could just go and have a conversation with them in person, even though they were resolved amicably, and I've never gotten anything less than a 4-star on Airbnb. I still feel like I would have loved to be able to be there in person. Dubé did a great job with the complaints. But I also would have loved to just be able to go, even if it's at least once a quarter, to see the place, right? So that for me is the big thing. That's why I'm letting it go. Not because it didn't work, not because of anything, but because I just feel like revenue-wise, I want to grow revenue-wise more than what I was doing. And I've learned my lessons, right? So let me know in the comment section, guys. What are your thoughts on this? Has this podcast been helpful to you? Are you getting aha moments? Are the things that you are learning? Let me know if you have anything else that you'd like me to address in the podcast, especially with regards to short-term rentals and becoming a super host. I'm by no means an Airbnb expert, but I do feel like sometimes a person who's just a beginner in the market, sharing their stories with other beginners can be so, so helpful because you're not too far you're not so advanced that you've forgotten what it's like to start off, and you are still also figuring things out, and there's so much value in that. And I love sharing that, right? So let me know what you'd like to hear. If you have any questions, share in the comment section. Share this podcast with people. Please please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. share on Spotify, share on Podbean, leave reviews, leave leave comments. It all really helps. Every little bit helps. So we appreciate the support. I in particular appreciate the support, right? And also, just a reminder that the Money Magic course is open for registration. I have shared today how I used the Money Magic course, how I did the vow of invisibility, or the vow of visibility, how I did the vow of visibility, how I did the God wound, how I did the not good enough meditation, lesson 17 and lesson 19 of the course consistently, especially in the first 2 months, especially when I was in Vietnam and Thailand, and how that completely shifted everything for me in terms of this and taking action and doing what I needed to do to make the short-term rental succeed and to get the bookings and everything. So if you're like, wow, I really want to do the Money Magic course and I want to be supported on my journey so that I can start taking action and keep taking action. Because remember, I was doing this at the same time as I've been busy with legal battles, right? So that's also why time has become such a thing for me and became a thing. But it also highlighted some things for me in how I do business and what needs to change. And I'll be sharing those things over time in the podcast, right? So if this is helpful to you and you want to do the Money Magic course, the link is in the description of this podcast. But you can also just shoot me an email, send me a message, book a discovery call with me. Let's have a conversation. And if you're watching this and you want to do one-on-one coaching with me, I have space for one-on-one coaching. At the time of recording this, I do only have one spot left for my one-on-one coaching. But if you want to do a one-on-one coaching and my spots are full, I can get you on the waiting list, right? If someone else has already taken that one spot, I can get you on the waiting list. When I'm done with whatever client, with one client, I'll take you on as a client as well. I love getting coached and I love getting support. I love getting one-on-one support and asking questions and having access to a person to help me work through my mindset, work through my trauma, work through the things that are stopping me from taking action. Because like I said, taking action for this was just 10 minutes, right? On some days. But most times it was about me doing the inner work so that I can continue to take action and trust that it's going to work out and just know that it's going to work out and trust my own strategy, right? My husband taught me the ins and outs of Airbnb and booking.com, but he will tell you that my marketing strategy was my own. It came from me doing the work and me deciding how I was going to do my marketing strategy, right? So that, because again, sorry, I keep knocking this tripod, so if you see the video shaking once in a while, that's what's happening if you're watching on YouTube, right? But a lot of that is that I'm a true believer that what works for me may not necessarily work for you because it doesn't come from within me. I'm not being led to do it, right? But what works for me may work for me, but not work for someone else, right? Because it's my thing. So what I do with coaching and what we do in the Money Magic work is not giving you a formula that this is the formula, this is what you need to do to make your business succeed or to earn extra streams of income or to get out of debt. It's more like you're healing so that you can tap into your own innate wisdom that is unique to you, so that you can start taking action from that wisdom. And that's where the magic happens, right? That's where the incredible shifts happen. So again, if that's resonating with you, the link to the Money Magic course is in the description below, but you can just go to wealthy-money.com/money magic. Again, wealthy-money.com/money magic. hit me up, or you can just message me to have a discovery call, either for one-on-one coaching or for the Money Magic course. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for staying with me, for tuning in. Have a fantastic day further. And as usual, I am going to leave you with a quote. This quote is from Rich Fetke, and he says, "The way we see it, real wealth means having money and the freedom to live life on your own terms." Real wealth is about having money and time freedom. The freedom to live life on your own terms, to travel when you want to travel, not to have to ask permission. I feel like that is what real wealth is. Spending time with your family, right? Spending time with the people you love and not feeling like you have to compromise a part of yourself or worry that it will be taken away from you, right? So without further ado, I wish you a blessed day further. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next podcast episode.